Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is ScopeSF and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want to showcase a demo for a game that just kind of popped up on my Steam radar completely out of the blue. Just kind of showed up on the front page, I think because it was just recently released. And normally, I don't know, I guess I'm a little bit more pessimistic about new releases, that I usually just kind of ignore something that I haven't heard before. I don't know what caught my attention about this, whether it was the name, whether it was the art of the splash art, what it was, I don't know. But I looked at it. The concept looked interesting. Basically, the best way to put it, like the name Blood Typers, it is a survival horror game where you type out words to do everything. Kind of think of it as like Typing of the Dead, but Typing of the Dead, you only typed out words to perform actions. Everything else was just a rail shooter. This one is full exploration, and you do use typing to move around as well, so there's a lot more freedom to it. And because of the pacing of the game and the atmosphere to it, it has a very nice retro aesthetic to it. I guess you could honestly compare it to old school PlayStation 1 Resident Evil games. So, Typing of the Dead meets Resident Evil. But the good parts about both series, I think they captured the essence of both games really well and combined them really well. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the first person or the only person to make that comparison, but this game, I did try it out, and I wanted to highlight it because I think this game needs a lot more credit, a lot more attention for a very specific reason. Horror video games are not great because, like most video games, they can be solved. And when you're solving a horror video game, and that's usually the goal, right? Like, take Dark Souls, for example. The whole point of Dark Souls is you're going to die over and over again, and it might be frustrating, but each time you do, you are memorizing the patterns, you are understanding dodge rolls compared to animation frames, you understand when you have windows of opportunity to replenish health if you need to. So you're learning more about it to the point where you know so much about it that you can be successful. And that's perfectly fine for most games, especially for Dark Souls, because it's an action game and the whole point of it is the action itself. With horror, it gets a little bit more nuanced because horror, it's supposed to scare you. And it'll get games like that will get you the first couple of times, but once you understand the mechanics behind it, horror games stop being effective and they're no longer scary. And then at some point, you get to the point of thinking, why am I playing a horror game when I could just be playing an action game or playing a puzzle game or, whatever. I think a really good example of this memory is always stuck in my head for some reason. I don't know why. I think it was Markiplier playing through Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. And he got to the end where he's going through all the super secret Easter eggs and everything like that. And there was one Easter egg in Sister Location where if you performed every meaningless task and press random buttons in dark rooms that you can't even see and stuff and whatever, you end up in a secret back room where you can play a version of a custom night or something. And as Mark was going through it, and he set the difficulty to its highest for that, so the equivalent of like 420 mode from the original Five Nights at Freddy's, he lost a couple of times during his first a couple of attempts because it was difficult. You get that. But then it cuts to him doing a voiceover on his final attempt where he is explaining all of the behavior patterns of all the animatronics and what exactly he is looking for and how he is going to frame perfect react to everything he does. And he's showing little bits of his last attempt while he's doing that explanation, and then he wins. And at that point, you could tell that Mark is not scared anymore. Because the greatest fear of everything is the fear of, one of the greatest fears is the fear of the unknown. And when the unknown becomes known, it is no longer a greatest fear. Why am I saying all this? It's because with Blood Typers, the way its mechanics play out, I want to think that, for how scary the game is, if you're not scared of this game from the get-go, then it's not going to be scary for you. But if you are scared of a game like this, if there is something about the horror, the atmosphere that gets to you, this game will be infinitely scary because its mechanics cannot actually be solved. Reason being... excuse me. Like I said, it is a typing video game. So you have to pay attention on the screen to what you are typing out. So your attention is forced on the actual gameplay mechanic. But like all other horror games, you have to be aware of your surroundings. So your attention is also required for the environment. But in this game, no matter how you try and split it up, you have to divide your attention between both. And if you're a multitasker, great. This game is probably a walk in the park for you. But I think at, harder levels, because, so choosing your difficulty, the difficulties for both the gameplay and the typing. And this is what I was talking about. There's essentially two things that demand your attention. There is the typing and there is the actual survival horror part of it. And I think at, higher levels, good luck with these two. But I think they're locked behind the demo. But if you were to purchase the full game, then I think you get access to more both. And then you could fine-tune this as well. If you want a more horror experience, you could go for Torment, but then change the typing to beginner and whatever. But... where was I going with this? Because each one demands your attention and you can't fully split your attention between both effectively, I think that's where the game remains scary. If one aspect of it doesn't catch you off guard, then the other one will. To the point where, I did try this game before. This should have been obvious. And I ended up in a room with, 3 enemies in it. And I was so paying so much attention to the environment, trying to analyze the room, seeing, okay, what enemies there are, what items there are there any other safe points I could quickly go to, that I wasn't paying attention to the typing, and I mistyped a word. And if you mistype a word, the word is stuck on the screen until you backspace and fix it yourself. But I wasn't paying attention to the word I was typing, so I was stuck there. And I didn't know why I wasn't shooting the gun until I actually looked at the word. But by the time that happened, the zombies caught me off guard, and they just beat me to death because I mistyped a very simple word. And I think that's where the game comes from. It's not just, you're paying so much attention to the typing that the environment's going to get you. It will be mechanically that you're paying so much attention to the environment that the typing is going to get you. And like I said, I think in a very subtle, nuanced way, this is the direction that horror games have to go if they want to continue to be scary. Or if you want a genuinely scary horror game. You have to introduce 2 mechanics that require undivided attention, to the point where if you're trying to solve one, you cannot solve the other. And the only way to solve the game is to solve both. So, I don't know. I've only put, 1 run into the demo, and it was probably, about 25, 30 minutes of it. But it did really catch my attention, and I think that this game really should be going places, and it should not fly under anybody's radar. I think this one is pretty fantastic. So, to put my money where my mouth is, I'm going to show you basically what it looks like. Also, a little bit of an RPG element to it. Different characters that have different strengths. I tried Vivi because I wanted to take advantage of the reload more quickly, but I couldn't actually figure out how to reload because I couldn't figure out how to carry more bullets. I'm pretty sure, after post-mediation I did figure it out, but, well, let's not do that this time. Let's take a look at Ophelia. Sacrificing more health for better melee and inventory slots. So yeah, a very basic story to it. Basically, you're a run-of-the-mill see, couldn't even type move. I forgot if there's anything over there. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, basic idea is you're just a independent horror film creator, I guess, and you got invited by the horror guy to make a horror film, even though nobody has actually seen him for a very long time. It is just the basis of the story. Whoever he was invited you out to definitely not Haunted Mansion in any way, shape, or form. So you go to definitely not Haunted Mansion in any way, shape, or form, and basically try and solve the mystery. And what I do like about this game, you kind of seen it already, is for moving around, at least for the lower difficulty like this, they're just 3-letter whatevers. They're not even necessarily words. Like, I know that, on the screen, this is not the best example. Rep is a word, pig is a word, bat is a word, Joe is a word, sis is a word, bzz, I guess is a word, if you want to use onomatopoeias. But, like, let's take a look at, if we go over here, yep is a word, who is a word, 8 is a word, who is a word. Phi and lay, I guess those aren't necessarily words. They're just random 3-letter combinations. Whether or not they happen to be words is just, I think it's just entirely random. It doesn't actually matter. But when you do important stuff, like when you're walking in the beginning, I thought it was cool that they had actual words for you to move through it, and as you're progressing in the environment, you're progressing the story through typing as well, because you're actually typing meaningful stuff. But it doesn't actually get to you because it's just walking through your first steps through the tutorial. But then when you actually get into the environment and you have to do important stuff, it you type out your actions. So if I am low health, I can eat the bread, which I'm actually going to try and do, see if I can increase my health. You can either grab bread to put in your inventory or quick eat to consume it. And you can see your little health meter. Very old school Resident Evil reminiscent. So I'm just going to put in my inventory. Yeah, show, mon, hoi, herf, not words. This is definitely the way forward. Hold on. I'll have to look back at all this. I might be crazy, but this feels randomly generated. Like, I don't think this was the same map layout from my initial run. Yeah, and then this happens. And before you think you've seen enough anime to know where this is going, you don't. I'd rather take it a little bit slow to start. Yeah. Okay. I do remember this part of the game. This is absolute. Where's the other one? Oh, come on. Okay. Anyway, I do remember this part of the game. This room did not look like this at all. So game is actually randomly generated. Yeah, I'm not even gonna... Okay, not my best moment, but... Grab Magnum, okay. Alright, today I learned these things can also open doors. I also don't know what the Necrolexicon is, but sounds important. did not see that there was a... What would you even call that? First strike mechanic? Nothing there. Okay, yeah, so, I'm not surprised. That's roughly where I died last time. I'm pretty sure if I was better at this game and just, got out of combat, moved around, kited with the gun, I probably would have gotten past that. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good showcase of what the game is like. Wasn't talking much because I was really locked in, but yeah, as you can see, Typing of the Dead meets Resident Evil, but it's the best parts of each game possible. So, again, game is called Bloody Typers. Definitely check it out on Steam. Try out the demo if it looked interesting to you. I am pretty sure you guys will consistently get further than I will. But if you think you like this game, definitely buy it, because not only are you getting additional characters from the roster that you could pick from, and additional levels and additional difficulties and everything. So not only is like the half of the base game unlocked for you, but you can also do local multiplayer, which I have a friend who is very into Resident Evil and did appreciate Typing of the Dead as an art form. I remember that conversation from a while back. So I'm going to try and see if I can get him and his girlfriend into this game as well. I think between the three of us, and if we happen to get a fourth, could be a lot of chaos, could be a lot of hectic, could be a lot of fun. But until that time, if that time ever comes, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.